Michael, thank you very, very much for joining me on the broadcast. Truly, I have been inspired, shocked, surprised, and moved by several events. Let me start out by asking you, you've mentioned how it all came together on July the 8th. I watched that broadcast, that very powerful broadcast of yours. It moved me to tears. Tell me, what really was the trigger?
Well, first of all, Rika, thanks for having me on your program. That broadcast that you watched coming out of Southampton last year, July, had all to do with my immediate boss at Sky Sports, Brian Henderson. He's the one who initiated it all. He's the one who organized the video of Ebony Rainford Brent and myself to be done. And then, of course, with the rain falling that morning, it just gave me an opportunity to expand on what that video said. Because I've never been asked about it before. I've never spoken about it before because that's not my job. My job is a cricket commentator. I don't just bring up subjects like that while you're doing cricket commentary. But given the opportunity by Sky and, of course, Brian Henderson, it just flowed out.
Mm-hmm. And now, over the last 1 year, it would be about a year now, so many people are talking about it. Do you think there has been a little change in the outlook?
Well, what I'm trying to do is to educate people, basically let them be aware of it, what is happening in the world and why we got racism and why we are trying to get rid of it. And I have definitely seen evidence that people have been listening. Obviously, Rika, not everyone is interested. Some people are quite happy with their lives. They don't want to see change. They're just not interested because it doesn't affect them. But a lot of people who still don't get affected are interested. A lot of good people want to see better. And I have seen progress. I've had personal experience of people coming up to me and telling me they liked what they heard on Sky. I got a note through my door on one occasion recently from a married couple saying that they appreciate everything that I've said and I am opening their eyes. So I'm obviously seeing that there's progress being made. Where the progress needs to be made, though, Rika, is in people who run countries, people who make policy, because the institutionalized and systemic racism is what we are trying to get rid of. The ordinary man on the street, yes, he will open his eyes, he will recognize that things are not right, and he personally, lots of us, will try and do things that to make the place better, but still we need to get rid of the institutionalized racism. And that is where people who make policy come into play.
Michael, what was the reason that, you picked these 9 prolific sports people? Do you think that they have the power to change over the others who have spoken out against racism?
Those 9 weren't specifically picked in Rika because I didn't just inquire of those 9. I asked other people to get involved. Some said they would and eventually did not. So those 9 were not specifically chosen. And you're not going to choose people and everyone will say, yes, they're happy to get involved. These people were happy to get involved, so I used them, but they had no special purpose. The only purpose was for people to recognize from these great people that they are hearing talking is that the one commonality they had was skin color. They were all from different backgrounds, different countries. They achieved different levels of success and shows that irrespective of how rich you are, how powerful you are as an athlete, how influential you are as an athlete, once you have a dark colored skin, it affects you differently. You suffer from racism. It doesn't matter if you are rich or poor, if you're a Christian or a Muslim. Once you have dark skin, there is a problem. And that's what I was trying to show with these people.
Naomi Osaka is one person I have deep admiration for. Michael, how do you react to her staying away from, media, press conferences? She's saying that, press conferences put a lot of pressure on young athletes.
Well, mental stress is not something I've ever experienced. I've never had to sit down and deal with a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I have known people who have had that problem. So I can understand totally what she is going through. A lot of people don't quite understand when people say they are under mental stress. They don't. And they think that this is something that people make up. Because if it was something that people made up, psychiatrists and psychologists would be out of work. they would not have a job. So people need to understand that this is a serious matter. And if she says that she's having problems with it, we have to understand that she's a young lady, very young, and she's dealing with a lot of things in her early age. When she decided to join the Black Lives Matter movement and go on marches, she got a lot of negative press. And someone that young, they can easily take it on board. So we need to give her some space, get her some help. She'll obviously seek help, and hopefully she will back with a bang.
How do you see this trend of, high profile international sports people increasingly moving away from the media, wanting to do stuff on social media, communicate their lives to fans through social media and not interact with the mainstream media?
Because, to be honest, I'm not a fan of social media. I've never used any Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I don't use social media. But the world has changed. People now do a lot of social media. And from it has been monetized, because my understanding is the more followers you get, the more likely you are to make money from these social media platforms. And people are seeking that direction. I never was one. I don't intend to be one. But the world has changed. Let the young people have their world.
But as a person who's in the press box today, commentary box today, how do you react to this change of, changing perspectives of sports people?
Rika, I have never been one to worry about being able to interview a sports person, because that's not my job. I would love to see sportsmen. I see a lot of sportsmen all over the world that are very accessible to the media. I see Formula One drivers, before they get into a car going near 200 miles an hour, talking to the media. So it is possible. It is good to see it. But at the same time, I'm not going to tell sportsmen what they must and should not do. I would love to see them be more accessible, and they should recognize that it's the media that's really making them what they are.
How do you react to, sportsmen saying that sportsmen and women, a lot of them saying that sports and politics don't go hand in hand?
I think anyone who says sports and politics don't mix, they perhaps are just born. They don't know the history. They should the first thing they need to look at is apartheid South Africa, and the politicians, not the sporting people, the politicians banned sporting contact with South Africa. So forget the argument that sports and politics don't mix. Just use South Africa as an example, and they will shut up and move on.
In India, you have traveled to India so many times, and you've seen the power of Bollywood and cricket. But, when it comes to politics, when it comes to making a political statement, both people from Bollywood and cricket, they shy away. How do you see this, that, sports people people who are in the position of power and can make a change, staying away from politics?
Some of them do, Rika. If you notice, a lot of countries, sports people and people in Hollywood, for instance, let's take America, for example. You must have noticed before the leading up to the last election, the amount of Hollywood stars who came out and made all kinds of statements that were politically motivated or towards politics. Same thing with sports people. Because in America, they know there are not going to be any repercussions. No government in America or in a lot of countries can decide that, oh, you spoke against me, I'm going to victimize you. Mm-hmm. A lot of countries, they do get victimized. That is why they're afraid to speak up against the politicians and against governments. Mm-hmm. I am not. I don't live in a country where I'm going to be afraid of politicians.
What do you think about Indian cricketers who are just so powerful, yet they do not make a statement which is remotely political?
Because they're afraid of the politicians and their government. Ask them quietly outside of the public domain and they'll tell you. Because they know how powerful they are and what they are capable of doing.
Let me ask you, you've just witnessed the WTC final. So my question really is, had a World Test Championship final happened in the time, in your generation, who do you think would have been the champions?
Who were the champions in our generation? We won for 15 years straight, so why would we have lost the World Test Championship? The World Test Championship is just over 2 years and then 2 teams play off. We won for 15 years, Rika. 15, 1-5.
You think ICC is a bit too late in this to institute something like a World Test Championship, because there have been phenomenal teams like West Indies dominating one era, Australians dominating another era, but we didn't see Test Championships back then.
No, but I don't have a problem with that, As time goes on, when sports are evolving and different sports evolve differently, and of course, people want a World Test Championship because they want to say, yes, this is the best team at this particular moment. So I have no problem with the idea of having a World Test Championship. What I would like to see, though, is at the end of this 2-year period or whatever length of time they determine to get to these last 2 teams, I would like to see more than one test match. I would like to see a series between these two great teams, number 1 and number 2 teams. I would like to see a series, because one test match, in my opinion, doesn't give you the full story. One test match, yes, more times than not, in a test match, whatever the test match is, more times than not, the better team will win. But at the same time, you can lose a test match to a team that is inferior to you because of a few silly mistakes or a drop catch. Or you need a series so that whatever team comes out on top in that series, there's no doubt that they are the best team. They didn't just win because they were happy, they were lucky to win a particular toss, or there was a misfortune against one team. A series is more definitive.
So a 3-match series or a 5-match series?
No, 3 is good enough. 3 is good enough. 5 is going to take it too far. 3 test series is good enough as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. Also, do you think this whole idea of providing context to test cricket, this is going to help test cricket stay alive? Because the reason I'm asking you this question is that, some of the series we see in the next FTP are 5 test series, some are 2 test series, some are 3 test series. Is it really going to help test cricket?
Rika, test cricket is waning, and the administrators only give lip service to test cricket. Look at what's happening in England over the last 3 years. The best months of the year, June and July, is dedicated to one-day cricket, 20-over cricket, and now this ridiculous 100-ball cricket that they're having. There's no test match between June, first week in June, and the first week of August. So and you are telling me that test cricket is the ultimate? No, well, happily I'll be out of the commentary box soon. I'll leave them to it.
Michael, we don't see you commentate in the limited overs version. Is it that you don't like it, or what is it?
My contract with Sky just has me doing test match cricket. 7 test matches in the summer, that's a lot. 35 days, that is good enough for me. I'm no longer 35 or 45 years old, Rika. I leave that to the younger folk.
In this generation, when, the sports people are hugely popular Instagram stars as well, and we've seen a lot of the sports people, including the ones you've included in your book, have done a lot for different causes. Do you see cricketers have come to the fore to make significant changes in this generation?
I haven't really seen or heard too many of them speaking up.
Okay, and you wish that cricketers of this generation come up?
Anyone who has a platform and thinks that there is injustice in the world, they should try to address that injustice and use their platform appropriately, in my opinion. Some people just are happy with their lives. They don't want to get involved. It doesn't affect them personally, so they are happy. They'll just keep on living their lives. Well, sorry, I can't agree with them.
Michael, thank you very, very much for joining me and inspiring everyone by writing this book, which I will ask my viewers to read because it's truly an education. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Rika.